The great adventure of my life began 15 years later. On the island of Santorini, near the ancient town of Thera, my professor found traces of a Bronze Age city. But the people there left no written language we can understand. So we know only what their objects tell us. Dr. Spiridon Marinatos had found evidence that would open the door to a lost world. And he asked me to join him.
Many Bronze Age sites have been trampled by time. But not here, where the gigantic volcanic eruption which destroyed the culture also preserved it.
On Santorini today, you can feel the pulse of life. So it's not too hard to imagine what this island was like 35 centuries ago, before life was suddenly snuffed out.
The shape of the island, surrounding a huge volcanic crater, has prompted some archaeologists to look here for the lost city of Atlantis, the fabled city Plato wrote about. Plato described Atlantis as an island city surrounded by a ring of land, much like Santorini. Could Santorini be Atlantis?
To me, Atlantis is no more than a fascinating myth. But what we were about to find was even more intriguing. When we dug down and brushed away the ash, we found thousands of everyday items. Tools and clay pots containing remnants of barley, fish and snails. This find could transform our knowledge of Bronze Age Greece. Now I knew why Professor Marinatos was so excited. Many of the walls were painted with murals, but there was one problem. The wall paintings were smashed to pieces. They survived only because the site was covered in a shield of pumice, which is rather like popcorn. Piecing the paintings together is like getting to know someone. But one day you realize this is now somebody you wonder about and care about, a new friend. Until now, no one had ever seen such an expressive face from Bronze Age Greece. People from the past speak to us, provided we are ready to listen. The paintings opened a wonderful window onto the lives of some gentle, artistic people. Who was this elegant woman? She picks crocus flowers, which yield the coveted spice, saffron. We carefully catalogue the seeds found here. Seeds which tell us what the ancient people ate and even how far they traveled to get it.
Τώρα τα βράδια μου, βράδια βουνά, του ταξιδιού μαυρά άδεια η καρδιά μου, γειτονιά στου κόσμου αυτού την ερημιά.
The sea was central to this island culture, yet their boats were a mystery. The only clues came from small ringed seals, which offered no details.
In fact, we knew almost nothing about Bronze Age ships until the flotilla painting was assembled. We were amazed to see such large ships. For the first time, we could see details of their sails and rigging. This painting broadened our knowledge tenfold.
Φωνή της μοίρας, φωνή της λύρας, τραγούδισε μου το παράπονο που ζω. Τραγούδισε μου, αλήθεια πες μου, πότε τα μάτια της θα δω.
We found no palace on Santorini, only comfortable houses. The people had leisure time to pursue the arts and sports, like boxing. Now that we had come to know the people through the paintings, we were really curious. What was their fate when the volcano erupted? When we removed the volcanic material, we found nobody, no victims, and it is a surprise. What happened? Because nobody could have survived such a disaster. Poisonous gases accompany the eruption, and people would have died instantly, just as they did at Pompeii. Where were the people? To unravel this mystery, we had to understand the volcanic eruption that buried their homes. For that, I turned to my friend with a long name, the volcanologist Dr. Yorgos Vouloukalakis. I call him George.
George to the rescue.
Γιώργο! Ευχαριστώ, παιδιά μου.
Να είχα φτερά στα πόδια, τα τόσα σου ανηφόρια, τα τόσα σου εμπόδια, να πέρναγα με μιας, να φεύγα σαν λίγη, χωρίς επιστροφή. Ναι, ναι, χωρίς επιστροφή. Ναι, ναι, να φεύγα σαν λίγη, να μου φωτιά που απλώνει, ήλιος που ξημερώνει και να σε εσύ το χιόνι.
To find the people who may have been buried by the ancient volcano, George and my assistant, Irini, used ground-penetrating radar to peer down into the soil as far as 60 feet. Someday, such tools may reveal people who huddled together when the eruption occurred. In our search, George and I used the Socratic method by asking questions of each other. Yes, but this is due to what? To the composition or to the machine or to the capacity of the machine or what?
Okay, I think that it's because there is no settlement here.
Was there enough time to escape the island in boats? George said that perhaps the timeline of the eruption could help us.
This cliff, all 100 feet of it, was laid down during the eruption. To George, the cliff is a timetable, a diagram showing how the eruption unfolded. By studying the layers of debris, George can trace the 4 phases of the Great Eruption. Because the bottom layer was just 3 inches thick, George knew that the first phase lasted only about 10 minutes.
Fine yellow ash layer, which fell for about 10 minutes before the big blast began.
It's like mud.
Yes, this is muddy layer. And people could survive this event. But the big problem began after it.
The volcano gave off plenty of warning signals. But once the second phase began, it turned deadly in just minutes.
The third phase began when the volcano's cone caved in. Seawater rushed into this inferno, creating a pressure cooker of superheated steam, which set off a massive explosion with the force of 40 atomic bombs. Phase 4. Raging avalanches of rock and debris, known as pyroclastic flows.
Evidence suggests that the volcano produced gigantic waves, 60 feet high. If people escaped by ship at the last minute, they never could have survived these tsunamis. The thickness of ash has proved that this was probably the largest volcanic explosion ever witnessed.
I wonder about the people. What happened to the woman who was picking saffron?
Dr. Dumas wondered exactly when they lived. George thought he could help. George makes frequent trips to study the volcano's vents. This is George's laboratory.
Ρίχνουν τα μάτια σου φωτιές στο χρόνο κι είναι τα χέρια σου μια φυλακή. Το ξέρω πάλι θα μ' αφήσεις μόνο κάποια Κυριακή.
Every volcano emits a different blend of minerals. To pinpoint the exact date of the eruption, George and other geologists identified the distinct mineral fingerprint of the Santorini volcano. When the volcano blew, it was heard thousands of miles away. This volcano had a global impact on weather patterns.
Far away in Greenland, when the volcanic ash settled on the ice cap, it left a fingerprint.
Who would expect that an ancient Greek secret lay buried in a glacier? Scientists have drilled down 2 miles into the ice cap to recover ice cores that go back 250,000 years. Each stripe represents a summer and winter. The unmistakable fingerprint of the Santorini eruption tells scientists exactly what year the volcano blew. 1646 BC. A century earlier than the historians had previously thought. The startling date of the eruption changed the timeline of Greek history. The date of the paintings proved that the islanders had wider contact with other cultures sooner than expected.
Because we have the depiction of Mycenaean warriors with their boar-tusked helmets.
Boar-tusk helmets were worn only by Mycenaeans, Greek mainlanders considered enemies of the island cultures. Yet here they all are, side by side, on the same ship. Something that archaeologists are still coming to grips with.
Ships were vital to this island culture. One day, an even greater Greek civilization would thrive on sea power.